Okay, and hello. So, welcome to another episode of the TNU Talks Series. So, basically, what I wanted to cover next is basically what the branches of the Federation. I guess you could call it the military. Some of the organizations are kind of paramilitary. Some of the things don't really exist anymore, but time to go over it. So, first off, obviously the main government, and this is all pertaining to the sessions or TNU core arc. This doesn't really have anything to do with the other stories, so I'm just gonna put that one out there first off. So if you're interested in the other stories, this doesn't have anything to do with that. So I wish this cold would just go away. Anyway, so UDC is the old organization that basically was pretty much the military of the United Forces Alliance, which pretty much is the predecessor to the Terran Federation, which becomes the Galactic Federation. So the Galactic Federation is currently what exists. And so again, these agencies really don't matter because they don't exist anymore. Even Earth 2 is under control of the Galactic Federation now, so that doesn't really mean anything. AMC, I'm going to jump a little ahead of myself. AMC is part of Deltaforce, but it's an autonomous entity. They actually are kind of their entirely own thing. Same thing with the Alchemy Commission. They are part of Deltaforce. They used to be their own thing, but they became part of Deltaforce. So, basically, the majority of the organizations in the, there is, there's this whole, it doesn't really tell you a whole lot. Honestly, where you want to go for a lot of this stuff is probably the old thing here, because this tells you a little more. So, Planetary Security is kind of either your typical army and police forces. The army and police in this are kind of merged, and it's just because they really don't. I mean, they're everywhere. They don't really do a whole lot. Pretty much, they're the typical guys who are just responding to emergency calls. Most planetary incidents up to a certain point, and basically they work for the Senate, and pretty much report to the Minister of Defense and then a Senate Advisory Committee, because that's just the joys of government. There's Deltaforce. Deltaforce is obviously special operations. So in this, each division doesn't have their own special operations unit. All the special operations is managed underneath Deltaforce, which is why you've got Deltaforce ships, you've got Deltaforce combat personnel, you've got Deltaforce special operations, and then you've got Deltaforce mech pilots. And it's because, it's their Deltaforce is kind of the special forces of, or not kind of, it is the special forces of the Federation. Then you've got the Fleet Service, which is Starfleet, and the Marines. Marines, you kind of, they always do their own thing. It's just the nature of the Marines. They shoot shit, things die. The Marines, kind of everywhere. They're on ships, they're on planets. And honestly, in this, a lot of Marines, not all of them, are pretty much the equivalent of stormtroopers. Like in some of the battles back in the days of the UDC, they would just send entire carriers full of Marines to go die. It was a pretty bad experience. But it ended a lot of bloodshed. Pretty much if you were in the Marine Corps, you were pretty much dropped in a dropship to go die. It's not to say that you weren't powerful, it's just like with how war-torn this place was. If you were lucky enough to, live long enough to actually gain some level of rank, you were pretty much, put in charge of, not dying, because, pretty much everyone either got blown up or shot at some point or another. Yeah, Marines don't have a really high, ratio of living. The fleet, Starfleet does what Starfleet does. They explore, they carry everyone else around. They're kind of the combination of science-y, tactical stuff. And then Deltaforce just does everything else. If the president says do it, Deltaforce says yes, ma'am. So, with that, obviously, Deltaforce also reports to the president. It is kind of explained in here that, they work for her. They also handle her security. But yeah, they're the peacekeeping emergency assistance. Pretty much, if it involves terrorism, if it involves blowing something that, needs to get blown up, that isn't something small, that requires, actual force to blow it up. If it requires, over a certain level of force, yeah, Deltaforce. Yeah, that's why they have all of their own stuff. And, as, this guy, Ryan Westbridge, who's a politician for a long time, he's gone. I actually don't remember if he died or what happened to him, but, his daughter, Naomi Westbridge, now runs, the Aloris Alliance, and is basically, part of the EU Council thing, which is pretty much a mass of gods. It's this universe's equivalent to the Q. So to ascend to pretty much becoming a demigod, yeah, you've managed to get pretty high up there. Kokari's the president. I actually don't remember how Sakura ended up being the commander of Deltaforce, but it's a question for another day, I guess. And then good old Misu. Now she just pretty much gives Hikari coffee. Here's your intelligence briefing, ma'am. Yay. But there's a lot less death in store for her than previously. She probably doesn't need as many antidepressants as she did before. Oh, there's one other thing that I can cover in this video. The ship identifiers, which I believe are actually at the bottom of this. So, yeah, here we go. So, these. Basically DFE, or Deltaforce specific ships. They were either created specifically by, a private corporation for Deltaforce use, or they belong to, a Deltaforce assigned captain. And the same thing goes with DFS. It's the same. Basically, it means that it's a vessel that specifically belongs to the Deltaforce branch of the Federation military. Obviously, that's, that's Starfleet ship. Time ships. Good old time ships. Faith. Um, Darian Sheridan, kind of an asshole. The player behind him was kind of a nice guy, kind of a spastic a little bit, but cool guy. Helped write some of the backstory of some of our technology, but yeah, his organization is kind of evil. And if anyone reads anything about the Loppy story, they will know that basically Faith really likes to experiment on poor little critters from nowhere and do horrible, horrible things to them, like turning them into mechs. Yeah, really great idea. Former UDC ships, not too many of these actually exist because, again, war-torn frickin' universe. If you don't have very many qualified captains and you're making a bunch of teenagers captains, chances are ships aren't surviving all that long. So any ship that still survives to have the that old thing, which none of these do. But yeah, if anything managed to survive long enough to have this designation, that ship's pretty awesome. So if you ever see one of those in RP or any of our writing, and it's more recent stuff, yeah, you got to give that ship props. Either that or their captain has managed to got them assigned to scut duty for the last 10 years, because somehow they've managed to not die. Either that or the other captain is just complete badass. Like, their captain just, like, walks into the freaking bank like Roddy Piper did in They Live, and is like, I am here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum. And then just starts blowing people away. Yep. I notice I make a lot of movie references and a lot of cheesy references to TV shows, anime, and so forth in these videos. But, whatever. So, Deltaforce uniforms. Enlisted, these are dress uniforms, by the way. Because obviously, most of the U.S. military uniforms these days got some form of camo or something. And then you've got, other than the Navy. So, yeah, pretty much dress uniforms is what most of these folks are wearing. The senior staff and AMC folks have their own uniforms. It explains here senior staff kind of do their own thing. Deltaforce run around in these really cool, like, full-on black uniforms. They just make them look like, hi, I'm here to smash you in. And it's not black like, you'd see like a spyware. It's like, how should I describe this without sounding even more like a nerd? I'll just do it anyway. So, those really cool, like, combat uniforms that people wear in anime? A black one of those. Yeah, obviously these people don't wear them in their mechs because that would be kind of weird. But that's why they encourage the wearing of flight suits. And it actually even says that in the AMC article I wrote. Bad. Yeah, this stuff is useful. The uniform shirt is what I'm talking about. It's, same thing with the blouse. They look like what I'm talking about, awesome kind of thing. So, I mean, it's, would have to say, though, that if I were in any of these branches, I'd be an AMC. Just because I am special operations. I can freaking kill you with this tiny little tack. And I can fly around a mech and blow up half the galaxy. If only Nova bombs were not outlawed. Yeah, apparently they learned something from watching Andromeda. Oh, shit. Well, lots and lots of dead people. Yeah, apparently having the captain and the XO and, the High Guard's permission isn't enough. No. Let's just completely outlaw the use of them, because the High Guard doesn't exist anymore, and we are so many thousands of years past anything that even resembles any type of hoo-ha, blah blah blah, like super science fiction TV shows that, yeah, let's just outlaw any planet-destroying weaponry. Because wiping out entire solar systems is not a good idea. Instead, let's just take our laser guns and kill the entire population. Because that sounds like a good way to conduct war. Let's not just commit mass genocide by wiping out an entire planet. No, that's too messy. Let's just walk in there and gun everyone down. This video is extremely morbid. I'm just gonna stop recording. Anyway, yeah, I think I got the gist across, aside from all the references to death and destruction of people and wiping out of solar systems. So, enjoy.